Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining us today. This is our Think Tank channel, the channel where we solve problems. My name is Njoki Njuguna, and I'm looking forward to having an amazing conversation. Now, last week, if we can do a recap, we touched on a few societal problems that we are facing, and in this context, in our country, Kenya. And we named a few. I would recommend that you look at now. And we agreed that today we were going to look at a specific problem, and the problem is unemployment. The framework we agreed to follow was a framework that addresses 4 areas. Number 1 is, what is the problem? Number 2, where did the problem come from? Number 3, why the problem? And number 4, what are some of the things we can do to solve this problem? So I would like you to engage with me during this session, but I would also like you to refer to our previous video where we said that when we have a problem, you have 3 options. Now, option number 1 is to complain, is to judge, or to blame. Okay. Option number 2 is to wait. Option number 3 is we try to do something about it. And that is what we're planning to do today. So welcome. Unemployment. So we said, what is the problem? So this is the problem we're trying to unpack. Number 2 is, where did the problem come from? Okay, where did that come from? So some of the areas or some of the reasons why we do not have job opportunities, I would like us to explore that. So the reason why, where did this come from, is because of a lack of sufficient opportunities. All right. So let us look at what causes a lack of sufficient opportunities. Number 1 could be there are no new companies that are coming up. Okay, so no new companies that are coming up. Okay. The other option why we lack sufficient opportunities is because of the existing companies are not growing. Okay, and then finally, closing down of companies. And this was something that happened very recently, where most people went through this specific problem during COVID-19. So these are the ones that we can say, if we do not have new companies coming up, if we do not have existing companies doing well or growing or developing, or when we have companies that are closing down, then it's going to result in a lack of sufficient opportunities. So let us break down further and say, okay, so why this problem? Okay, so why this problem? So why this? All right, so why this, why this, why this? So I want us now to break why a lack of sufficient opportunities. So number 1, I'm going to break it down into 4. The first one is strategy. Okay. Number 2, people. Number 3, lack of performance measuring. And then finally, lack of continuous improvement. So whenever you have any business starting, regardless of whether it is big or small, there should be a very clear strategy. Now, if the strategy is not clear, okay, you're going to have a problem. And by clarity, I mean Does anybody or everybody within the company understand what they are doing, okay? Or what the objective of the company is. Number two, it could be, allow me to reference, is a lack of data-driven strategy. Okay, a lack of data-driven strategy means you are a company that continuously looks at its performance. So if your performance is not doing very well, then it means you need to change your strategy. Okay? If you're a startup, why did you want to start? What were the reasons why you have to decide that this is a strategy that you wanted? All right? Is it a priority? Okay? So it also comes with priority. Do you have a priority? How do I put this? You could be having different kinds of problems. Problem number one, you could be, it's a community that needs a school. Problem number two, it could be that in this community, they do not have sufficient supply of food. So both problems are important, but the priority is you first provide the food and then you build the school. So that is what it means when I talk about priority. The other one could be wrong implementation. So you have this very beautiful plan. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do, but when it comes to implementing it, not everybody does what they're supposed to do. So a beautiful plan without the right implementation, it's not going to give you the results that you deserve. And finally, wrong execution. Okay, beautiful strategy, beautiful planning. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. Everybody is clear on their goals and their objectives. But when you get to go on ground, then you miss out on whatever that you had agreed in the plan, then the execution becomes wrong. Now, if all these components do not go together, it means you're not going to get the right outcome. And therefore, you could have a beautiful plan to build a very beautiful company, or you could have a company that is already, okay, it's already doing well, but it's not going to grow because you miss out on all the components within the strategy.